A lot of homebuyers think they want West Austin until they see what their money gets them. And then a lot of homebuyers want Dripping Springs until they live the commute, the taxes, and the trade-offs. So before you romanticize either one, let's go through what the different lifestyles are for you in 2026. This isn't really a city versus a suburb conversation, it's a lifestyle trade-off. The West Austin sells convenience and legacy, and Dripping Springs sells more space and exhale. Stay with me, because one of these communities is going to fit you perfectly, and the other one, well, you may just regret it down the road. So which one is actually right for you in 2026? We are going to be comparing the schools, the commute, the lifestyle, and the home prices so you can see which one fits you best. Hi, I'm Nicole Cooper, and I've been helping people buy and sell in the Austin area for over 15 years. So if you're looking for lifestyle and location, you are in the right spot. Let's get started on this comparison right away. So first things first, I have to show you what we are comparing. So on the map here, this is downtown Austin. This is Westlake Hills, and when I say West Austin today, for the sake of this video, we're talking about Westlake Hills, Rollingwood, Barton Creek, and Rob Roy. All this area on both sides of 360 on the west side of town. Dripping Springs? Well, of course, it's the town of Dripping Springs. So when we're talking about just sheer distance to downtown, from Dripping Springs, it's about 35 minutes. And from Westlake, depending on where you are, it could be 15 to 20 minutes. If you're further out in Barton Creek, of course, it's a little farther. But generally speaking, when you're in Westlake, you are pretty convenient to downtown Austin. Now, of course, these commutes are without traffic. And one thing about living in Dripping Springs out 290 that since the beginning of time everyone has complained about is this Oak Hill intersection right here. And I'm gonna zoom in and show you what I'm talking about. There has been a bottleneck there since the beginning of time, but as you can see here, they are making serious progress to get around, over, and through the area in Oak Hill. It is under construction. It's going to be under construction somewhat longer. However, they are trying to make this a better through street or a through highway than the stoplight pattern they have in Oak Hill right now. So it's getting better. It's making Dripping Springs more of an option than before because you can get into town a little bit easier than before they started the construction. It's better, still has a ways to go. The other option, with the addition of Highway 45 here, you can sneak in this back way and sneak over to Mopac down here, and that's another way you can sneak into town a bit easier. So we have some options coming in from Dripping Springs, which we didn't have before, and it makes it much more user-friendly, commuter-friendly from Dripping Springs into downtown. This map here shows us how to get to the airport. So from Dripping Springs and from the West Austin area, you're going to take the southern road here, 71, out to the airport. If you're coming from Dripping Springs, you're probably about 40-45 minutes. If you're coming from this part of town, you're going to be more along that 30-minute route to get there. So either way, it's a good angle because the airport is on the south side of town. Now here's my rule as far as commuting goes. If you have to do something more than 3 times a week, whether it be drive into town for work, drop the kids off at school, go play golf, do your favorite hobby, whatever it is, if you have to do that more than 3 times a week, you want to make sure that commute isn't too long for that. And what that means is you need to practice it during rush hour time. If you have to sit at this intersection in Oak Hill for 30 minutes trying to get through because it is under construction, I mean, look at this. That may not be the right choice for you. You may want to pay that premium to be in West Austin over Dripping Springs. Now, if you don't have to come into Austin each day or more than 3 times a week, then maybe you want to get that extra space, be out towards Dripping Springs and have a little bit more quiet. And remember, neither answer is wrong. These are just different lives. Some buyers need to pay for proximity and some buyers want to pay for peace. And another way to think about this, if your identity and kind of what you like to do is when you get home at the end of the day, you want to go out to a restaurant, you want to go have a night scene, you maybe want to go to some live music or a theater downtown, then probably you want to lean towards West Austin. Or if your favorite day looks a bit like sitting out on the back deck watching the birds hang around, the deer in the backyard, something like that, very quiet, then maybe you're gonna head out towards the Dripping Springs area. So when I'm talking about the different styles of homes, let me just give you an example. So we're trying to keep the price point pretty similar. This one here is listed for 2.2 and this one here is 1.95. So this first home, we're in Westlake Hills, $2,200,000. The house is almost 3,000 square feet, built in 2001. But here is the main difference, 0.26 acres, only a quarter acre of a lot. Now, when we look at the pictures, it's a gorgeous house set back in the trees. It is nice and private. You know, everything's modern and new and nice on the inside. But when we hop over here to this property in Dripping Springs, it's quite a bit bigger, 3,872 square feet. And then we look down here to the size, 5.01 acres. That is a big difference. We look at the house here, beautiful, gated, private. Nobody's gonna get back there and bother you. Modern trend house here. In fact, this one was built in 2018. They've got solar panels on their barn. You can see they have a horse there. In general, Dripping Springs is much more cowboy than Westlake. So if you're into that rural scene, you wanna have your horse, maybe you wanna have some chickens out back, you're gonna head out over to Dripping Springs. But this gives you a good idea of what the big difference is. Similar price point, you get more house and 5 acres in Dripping Springs than this house here that's on a quarter of an acre. So let's talk taxes. A lot of people think, well, I'm gonna move out to Dripping Springs and save on my taxes, because by and large, they're like 1.6, 1.7, 1.8% of the property value. And in Austin proper, we're more around 2.3%. Westlake Hills and Rollingwood is a little lower because they're their own incorporated cities. They're under 2% as well. But the thing is, when you go out to Dripping Springs, a lot of these communities are in municipal utility districts. And what is that? Well, they're in charge of the infrastructure with water, sewer, trash, things like that. So they're going to put a little bit more money on those tax dollars separate from your schools, taxes, and EMS and fire. So it could be adding 40 to 80 cents on the 100 for those mud taxes out in Dripping Springs. So make sure that your agent is getting you all the data for your total expenses on property taxes and mud rates in Dripping Springs so that you're comparing apples to apples from in town to out of town. Once you know your taxes, then it's time to dive into the culture. That's up next. So what does living in each of these areas look like on the daily? We're going to talk schools in just a minute, but let's start with West Austin. You are going to have more opportunities nearby to get into town, to get to the movies, to get to the entertainment district, to get to the UT football games. It's just easier, simpler, it's close by. The shopping is all throughout that area. You're going to have your shopping malls, you're going to have restaurants, and you're going to have healthcare right there in the community. If we pop out to Dripping Springs, probably your daily life is going to look more about like getting outdoors and maybe horseback riding or doing something out in the garden. Less shopping, less theater and big things. So if you're coming to a UT football game, you've got the long commute into town. Theater, live music, all of that, you're coming back into Austin. So your daily life is probably going to be more about nature. Well, what about golf? You know, we have to talk about golf. In West Austin, it's prolific. You have Westlake Country Club, Austin Country Club, you have Barton Creek, and all of these courses are right there centered in the West Austin hub. In Dripping Springs, we really have no golf. Now, in Driftwood, we do have Driftwood Golf and Ranch. Tough to get into though. Entry fee there, initiation fee is $250,000. So it's not super accessible to everyone. So by and large, we can kind of say that Dripping Springs doesn't have any golf courses to speak of. South Austin, Grey Rock is closest as far, and that's a public course or semi-private, I guess we could say, but it's a municipal Austin golf course. So it's really busy, kind of hard to get on. So if you're thinking about living in one of the country club communities, you're definitely going to be leaning towards West Austin over Dripping Springs. So what about the trails? Well, they both have access to amazing parks and trails. In West Austin, we are talking about the Barton Creek Greenbelt. This is what you're going to see. This is where you can hike, you can swim, when we have rain, of course, but this goes all throughout the West Austin. It's Lost Creek, Barton Creek, that is what you can expect. Now, just to the north of Dripping Springs, we have Reimers Ranch and Hamilton Pool Preserve. Hamilton Pool is gorgeous. It's not right there in Dripping Springs, but it is one of the very hot spots that all the inhabitants of Dripping Springs go to. As you can see here, it's just absolutely gorgeous. The limestone rocks going through there, the waterfall, it's a very much a hot spot for everyone living in that Dripping Springs area. Lastly, I told you we were going to talk about the schools. Let's do it. West Austin feeds into Eanes ISD for the most part. Eanes ISD, per texasschools.gov, gets 94 out of 100. Their total enrollment is 7,590 kids. That is quite small when we're talking about an entire independent school district. It puts their number of students per teacher at just over 12. That's incredible. Dripping Springs is not a bad school district either. Not quite as good of a grade. They get 89 out of 100, and they're a bit bigger, 8,696 kiddos, and their students per teacher are just over 15. So either way, your kids are going to be taken care of. A lot of families always try to get into this Eanes ISD, and therefore the property values are pushed up and people are willing to pay more to get in there to get their kids in this school system. Before we wrap up, let me show you a couple of hot spots in each area. So in Westlake here, or West Austin, this is kind of the heart of Westlake. You're going to have your grocery stores with your H-E-B and a few restaurants. You've got your healthcare in the area. Hat Creek Burger Company is a place where you can hang out and the kids have the playground outside, very popular. Then just a bit more to the west, you have your barbecue and you have a wine bar over here across the street. If we hop out to the Dripping Springs area, first of all, it's the wedding capital of Texas. Super cool, very pretty venues, large industrial size areas. Like these kind of breweries, distilleries, and wineries. They call it sipping and dripping because you have wineries, breweries, and distilleries. So you've got Deep Eddy vodka out there. See this large room, people rent it out for weddings. It's a really pretty place. Or you can head up here to Jester King Brewery, another large indoor-outdoor venue, plenty of space to hang out, plenty of space for the kids to run around. You can take your dogs out there. And then third, the winery. You can, again, rent these out for weddings, and you can see how they all have these beautiful outdoor spaces. So sipping and dripping, wedding capital of Texas, a lot of outdoor activities out in Dripping Springs, and a lot of people go out there just to hang out under the big oak trees. So overall, in the hill country in Dripping Springs, you're often buying the land first and the house second. In West Austin, you're more likely buying the house first and the lot second. So what's better, West Austin or Dripping Springs? Well, it depends entirely on what life you're trying to build. If you want Eanes ISD, polished, established institutions, legacy, kind of country club energy, head to West Austin. If you want land, hill country lifestyle, casual living, more outdoor social life, and just an overall slower pace, head on over to Dripping Springs. I mean, let's face it, we don't move for square footage. We move for our identity. West Austin asks, how close do you want to be to everything? And Dripping Springs asks, how do you actually want to live? There's a link below with all of our contact information. So if you want to know more about these communities or you want to see a home in person, all you have to do is give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call, because we are always available to help you find the perfect home that matches your lifestyle. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others. I can't wait to see you around town.